Something that has come up multiple times in past episodes is me talking about wanting to romanticize my life more. But what does that even really mean? What does that entail? What kind of habits do I need to implement? What kind of perspectives do I need to implement? What do I need to alter in order to reach a life that I romanticize? What does that even imply? So today I kind of just wanted to talk about that, kind of reflect on that because I feel like I live a pretty typical life and sometimes I look at that normalcy and that dependency in a negative way, but I really just want to learn to see the beauty in that, kind of start to see the beauty in the mundane and talk about where I think this is coming from, why I feel the need to do this, and how I can begin to live that kind of life. I think it's also relevant to a lot of people. This talk about wanting to romanticize things more, but how do we actually reach that? Also, I'm trying my best, but I don't know if my voice sounds kind of weird right now. I have generally been sick for like 3 weeks, and like it's gotten better. All the other symptoms have gone, but I just have this lingering cough because I was sick for 1 week. I started feeling symptoms, I think 3 weeks ago, and then that started to feel better. And for a couple days, I was great. And then I started to develop symptoms again. So I thought that was the same cold, but now I think I just got sick twice back to back, and it sucks. And I'm just over it. But it's definitely getting better. I'm definitely starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's just its lingering cough. It's so annoying. But, anyways, let's get started. Okay, so let me paint a picture about what my everyday life looks like. So I'm 19, I turn 20 in a couple of months. So I'm in college, I go to school, I have a part time job. I grew up in a bit of a smaller town. Like, I live a very normal life, kind of a repetitive life. I go to school 4 out of 7 days of the week, and 3 out of those 4 days, I wake up at 4:40 in the morning. So I wake up, get ready, I have my routine. I go to school. I usually end school pretty early. I never go later than 1 o'clock, except for one day when I start later and I end later. And then I come home, I do schoolwork, I relax, I work on the podcast, I go to bed, and it repeats. Some days defer. I do work as a waitress in evenings 2 days out of the week. But other than that, it kind of just repeats. And this is not me disregarding my life. This is not me saying that I'm not grateful for everything that I have, because I definitely do acknowledge that I'm so lucky to be in the position that I am. And I'm so lucky to have that kind of dependency and that safety and that security. But I am someone that's prone to FOMO. I am no stranger to FOMO. And it's so weird to me because, I mean, for the longest time, I've said that I'm more of an introverted person. But I think in recent times, even just in recent months, I've started to realize that I am a little more extroverted. It just entirely depends on my confidence and how I feel and the people that I'm around. When I'm around my friends, my family, people that I'm comfortable with, people that I don't feel judged by, I feel like my real personality comes out, which is a little more outgoing and a little more talkative. But for so long, I felt like I was so quiet and so kept to myself because I just cared so deeply about what other people thought of me. And I was always worried about saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing. So I would never put myself out there and I would just stay quiet so that people wouldn't have the opportunity to see me in a way that wasn't accurate. It's like I wanted to curate this perfect picture, and if ever I did anything embarrassing, if ever I did anything that I regretted, it stuck with me forever. And I would constantly think about it years later. And even though I'm a little more extroverted, I do need my alone time. I do need my quiet time. I do need my time at home in my room, relaxing. And I will say recently I have started to go out and have fun more, but I still need that balance. I still need that balance because I know myself. If I don't do that, if I don't have that time to myself, my social battery is going to run out and I'm going to get overwhelmed and there's just going to be too much going on. So I know deep down that sometimes I do want to stay home, but then I'll see photos, I'll see videos of people out, and I will get such deep FOMO. And I feel like it used to be a lot worse, but it never has truly gone away. I feel like a lot of people deal with FOMO. I think it's this fear you're missing out on stuff and you're missing out on life. And it almost feels like you weren't productive enough with your time and you didn't take advantage of the time that you have. I think often we feel FOMO because we're like, well, I can sit around in my room anytime. Why didn't I go out? or why wasn't I invited? And that used to happen a lot, especially in high school when I hadn't really found my people yet. There was no one that I was insanely close with. And I wasn't invited to a lot of stuff, which makes sense because I was not in a great place mentally and I was just really quiet and really introverted and so kept to myself. So obviously people wouldn't invite me places because they didn't think that I wanted to be there. And honestly, deep down, I didn't want to be there. And it's not because I didn't want to enjoy people's company and have fun, but I knew that if I went somewhere, I would just be so preoccupied about what the people there think about me and overthink each and every single thing that I do. So I just thought it would be easier to stay home and isolate myself, but that just made things worse. Anyways, I know this has nothing to do with romanticizing your life, but I just think it's really beneficial and it makes a lot of sense to kind of find out where this feeling is coming from because it feels like I'm always searching for more. It feels like the simple stuff almost isn't enough. And I think that's natural because we live in such a fast paced world. Everything is so quick, and we're trying to be as productive as possible. We're filling up our schedules. We wish there were more hours in the day. And it's a natural human instinct to want to go quickly and get stuff done. But I think especially today it has worsened and it leads us to feeling like we're not doing enough and our life isn't interesting enough. I live a fairly simple life and sometimes I worry that I'm missing out. Sometimes I worry that my life is boring and I'm not doing enough with my time. I like going out with people sometimes and having fun, but I've never been to a club because they're not my scene. There's too many people. There's too much going on. I just really don't think I would enjoy it. I'm not in a relationship. I haven't had anything romantic in literally 3 years. And I feel like I look at other people's lives. I look at the idea of a teenager's life or someone about to enter their 20s, and often it's depicted as something like fun and magical, and you're going out and experiencing new things. And it almost feels like I'm behind. It almost feels like I'm at a different place compared to everyone else. I feel like I'm trying to keep up with everything and I'm failing to do so. And I think that's why I want to start to romanticize my life a little more and see the beauty in the boring, I guess, and being okay with there being boring because you need that balance. I feel like we're always chasing for more. We always want what we don't have. And I just feel like it's a waste of energy because it's never gonna feel like it's enough. You can kind of compare it to learning to love your body. This is the only body that you're ever gonna have. And if hating yourself was a productive solution, you would have already seen results. It doesn't work, it's a waste of energy. So it's kind of like that with your life. Rather than hating on your life and always chasing for more, and I'm not saying you shouldn't chase after what you want and strive for more, but it's more about switching the perspective where it's like, if I have this, then I'll be happy. Try to be happy in the now. And if you want to achieve something else, keep working for it, keep working for it. But it's about recognizing that there's different stages in your life and not everything is going to be all glamorous all the time. I feel like personally for me, I'm always going through my life thinking about just the little tasks, being like, I have to do this, I have to do that. I have to do the dishes. I have to run errands. I have to go to school. I have to go to work. We're always trying to get it done and over with so we can move on to the next thing. We're never living presently. We're never present in what we're doing. It sounds cheesy, but start to alter that perspective. I get to do the dishes. I get to run errands. I get to go to school. I get to go to work. And sometimes it's not fun. Life is not always going to be fun. There's always going to be parts that are a little more boring. But if you view it as something boring, it's just going to make it 100 times worse. If you're just trying to check stuff off your list and always focusing on the next thing that you're going to do, you're never living presently. And then time is going to pass by and you're going to realize you were never in the moment. And it really is that deep. Like, I know we're just talking about doing the dishes or running errands, but it really is that deep because you start to realize how much your life circulates around just getting to the next thing. There's nothing wrong with living a little more of a neutral life. There's nothing wrong with that. There's honestly something beautiful about it. Yes, I have a routine, and yes, things in my life are repetitive, but that's not a bad thing. That doesn't make my life boring. I like that dependency. It's peaceful. I like having a routine, and it really all is about perspective. Once you start to put in effort to change the way that you think, it's just going to come naturally. And again, this applies to anything. For instance, I dealt with an eating disorder, and during recovery, I was so scared about my body changing. And in the past, I would always look at myself in the mirror and say negative things to myself. If you look in the mirror and you tell yourself, I'm ugly, I don't look good, I hate my body, that's how you're gonna feel inside. And it sounds like it's fake, but I started looking in the mirror and telling myself that I liked how I looked. And even when I didn't believe it, it really was fake it until you make it, because I started to love parts about myself that I had hated in the past. Now I look in the mirror and it worked. It worked. Now I look in the mirror and I naturally have those thoughts. I have learned to believe the things that I was just telling myself at first. At first, I was just telling myself those things to make me feel better because I knew that there was no point in hating myself because it would just make things worse. But then I started to believe it myself. So do that with your life, do that with your everyday things. If you wake up in the morning and the first thing you think is, I don't want to be awake right now, I don't want to go to school, I just want to stay home all day, waking up and having that negative perspective is going to make the day feel more negative. And if certain tasks are daunting, start to implement little things that you enjoy that will make the task more enjoyable. Let's say you have to do the dishes, okay? Put on some music. You have to do schoolwork. Make a cute little setup, make it fun. Like, there are things that you can do to make these tasks more enjoyable. And then when you add little things that you like to the situation, then it's gonna change the situation as a whole, and you're gonna start to romanticize it a little more. You're gonna start to see the beauty in it a little more. I think also just learning to slow down in many ways across your life can play a part in starting to romanticize it. Start to slow down, do things with more thought, take your time more, just implement little changes. You're making a snack plate for lunch, make it really pretty. Take the time to make it look really pretty rather than just throwing it on the plate, because then it's gonna be more enjoyable. Drink from a cute cup or a cute mug. You're making a to do list, make the to do list really cute. I don't know. There are so many things that you can implement that's gonna help you start to romanticize your life. Some people might find it kind of stupid, but I think it really makes a difference in how you view your everyday tasks. Everyone has to do the quote unquote boring tasks. So why not try to make it as enjoyable as possible? Again, there's something so beautiful about the mundane. There's something so beautiful about the reliability and the repetitivity. And also, like, you need that balance. You do need a little bit of a balance. If you're just go all the time, you are going to get burnt out and you're going to get exhausted. And unfortunately, burnout has become so common because I feel like everyone is always talking about the grind, being as productive as possible, waking up at 5 a.m., getting this done, that done, this done, that done. And obviously, if you're a very go person, if you're a very productive person, if you have a lot of energy, take advantage of that. But also don't exhaust yourself out, because then you're gonna have no energy to do anything. It's really about keeping that balance. It's possible to go out and enjoy yourself while also doing calming, slower tasks, because neither extreme is good. Like, I love my alone time and I like being at home, but I know that going out and seeing people is important for me in my well being. Even if you're not going anywhere, get ready, make yourself feel good, put on a nice outfit. There are so many little things that you can do that are so worthwhile and that make such a difference. Romanticizing my life is one of my goals for 2026. Again, it's good to want more, it's good to be driven, it's good to feel inspired, but also don't tire yourself out. Don't overwhelm yourself. Do things that make you feel good. I also think that starting to romanticize things can really maybe fix our attention spans, because our attention spans are all terrible, and it's not our fault. It's not our fault. We live in such a fast paced world, and because of the internet, we are so used to being fed things quickly. You could be on TikTok and you could be doom scrolling, and you could see 15 videos about 15 different topics in the matter of a minute. We get so overwhelmed by everything around us, And I think that's why it's so important to learn to be more present and start to alter that perspective, because then you probably won't get bored as easily. You're going to start to see the beauty in the little things, and you're going to be okay with things going a little more slowly. But, anyways, this was a little bit of a shorter one today, I think, because I often have a certain amount of time of footage when I look back at the videos, but then there's times where I pause, there's times where I stop to think about what I want to say. So truly, I don't know how long this is going to turn out to be. But yeah, just like a little short and sweet one. I have just been thinking about this. I have just been wanting to talk about this because I feel like I'm always looking for more. And the truth is, it's never going to feel like enough. It is never going to feel like enough. So stop chasing after that. It's a waste of energy. And again, I'm not saying to not go after things you want, but all I mean is don't view your life as, oh, I won't be happy unless I have this. I won't be happy unless I have that. Learn to love and appreciate where you are now, and that will help carry you to the things that you want to do. It's kind of like the whole idea of you can't be in a relationship and give love to someone else unless you love yourself. And it really is true, because if you don't have the energy to love and appreciate yourself, like, a relationship is not gonna fix your life. If you're unhappy with your life, a relationship is not gonna fix that. Because let's say, yes, you get into a relationship and then it ends, and then that was the only thing making you happy. When I was going through a rough time years ago, I used to think that being in a relationship would just fix that. But I've learned that it doesn't. You need to be in a good place yourself before getting into something like that, because a relationship requires so much self love and so much self respect, and you need to be able to recognize your worth. And if you're in a bad place, it's so much easier to just settle and go along with whoever says what. Again, I keep bouncing back and forth. I'm so sorry. I really hope whatever I said today made sense, because I feel like my mind was just everywhere and I was just thinking of a bunch of things that I wanted to say. But all I mean is, it's kind of like that. If you're unhappy with where you are and you want to make some changes, that's great. But hatred is not going to carry you through it. You need to have self love throughout the process. And what aids in that? Romanticizing your life. Again, I know you probably hear everyone talk about romanticizing their lives. I feel like it's such a common thing to talk about, but it truly does play such a big role. Perspective really does affect everything. And I'm saying that because I've learned it through experience. Also, keep in mind that the way that you begin your day, the perspective that you have about your day right off the bat, it kind of sets you up for your entire day. So, even if it feels cheesy, tell yourself it's going to be a good day. Or put on a song that gives you a serotonin boost, because I have realized that sometimes I'll play a feel good song first thing in the morning, and then it puts me in such a good mood. One that I would really recommend is Unwritten by Natasha Benningfield. Benningfeld. I don't remember her last name, but it's such a good song. Another one could be some Jack Johnson. Just put on some feel good music, have a slow morning, do things that make you feel good. What you do first thing when you wake up really can set you up for your entire day. Journal, write down things you're grateful for. When you start to write those things down and you see everything that you have on paper, it makes you appreciate it so much more, and it makes it feel so much more precious. And you start to realize, even though it may be simple, there's something so beautiful about the simplicity. Simplicity doesn't equal boring, and I feel like that's often what we look at. If you're not out and doing crazy shit every single day, you look at it as a boring life, but it's not boring. And again, it's easier said than done. I'm not saying it's easy. It's still something that I haven't mastered, and it's still something that I want to work on. But the first step is really to reflect and alter your perspective. That's the first step to success. Anyways, thank you for sitting down and joining me today. I love you so much, and I'll see you next week.